November the 6th, 2025. It is a crazy year indeed already. We're moving rapidly toward the time of the Nobel Peace Prize. And the Nobel Peace Prize, some of the nominees, but one more in particular, Donald Trump being nominated by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, should have the entire world in an uproar of laughter. Well, that laughter, though, could be really destroyed by the somberness of what it really means. Is it a biblical prophecy is the question that should be asked, and maybe even a prophecy that a lot of people have just totally not realized that prophecy is more in line with these two men than it is with anyone else, especially the man Netanyahu nominating Trump. Let's listen into what it says here. 3 months ago, let's see what Netanyahu so boastfully says to the president here.
I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well deserved, and you should get it.
Thank you very much. This I didn't know. Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming from you in particular, this is very meaningful. Thank you very much, Bibi.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. It's a great honor.
Mr. President, is your Palestinian...
Now, the Palestinian relocation plan, the very next thing said in there, being asked to him there, and surrounded by what I consider to be a bunch of war thugs to begin with. But he's nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. There's quite a few different articles out there about it. Just everywhere you look, you see these articles. Politico also, as Trump awaits Nobel Peace Prize verdict, Netanyahu backs him. He deserves it. The Israeli Prime Minister says the day before the winner is announced. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu Thursday gave his renewed endorsement to U.S. President Donald Trump to win the Nobel Peace Prize as the end of the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza comes into view. Let's take a look at some things, though. Let's go back to Daniel, for example. Daniel chapter 8, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and do, and he shall destroy them that are mighty, and the people of the saints. And through his cunning he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. Sounds like a narcissist. Sounds like Donald Trump, and sounds like Netanyahu as well. And in time of security shall he destroy many. In a time of security he shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Just, thinking of the words that are written there, right? Jeremiah writes as well, for from the least of them, even unto the greatest of them, everyone is greedy for gain. From the prophet, even unto the priest, everyone dealeth falsely. Boy, that sounds so resoundingly true in Israel today. From those that prophesy to the very priests themselves, they all deal falsely. They have healed also the hurt of my people lightly, saying, peace, peace, shalom, shalom, ve'ein shalom, and there is no peace. Well, if you take that and then you keep in mind Paul's writings, and we look at 1 Thessalonians, think about Thessalonians here, but I want you to think as you consider what we're about to read right here, I want you to think in mind that Paul knew Jeremiah and Daniel's writings. He knew them well. And the reason why I'm saying it in that way there, because as I read this, we're very familiar with verse 3, peace and safety, then sudden destruction. but we typically think of cometh upon them as coming upon those that say peace and safety. Would it surprise you to find out that the very word that's used in Greek there could have so many different possible translations that perhaps it was just chosen to be written that way? Maybe Paul meant it more the way Jeremiah and Daniel actually wrote about it in their own commentaries. Let's look at it. But of the times and season, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. Right? If it comes as a thief in the night, the day of the Lord does. But who really does that matter for? For you as a believer, you don't have to worry about it because that day would not overtake you, as Paul will say in the 4th verse there. Right? As he says, I'll skip 3 for just a moment. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. In other words, even when there is such a gloomy day, it won't catch you by surprise. You won't be deceived into believing the ones that are saying peace, peace, when there is no peace. Right? That's really what the crux of this is all about. No wonder why Daniel wrote it like this, right? So we read here, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. That's like the antecedent, the ones that say peace and safety. But the question that you have to ask yourself, is that really what the translation should say? Now, I made myself some notes here, and looking at 1 Thessalonians, that very word that is used has a range of pronouns that could be given with it. Instead of peace and or sudden destruction cometh upon them, it can also be destruction arises among them. It also could be that destruction arises by them. And what caught my attention, not only did it seem to line up more with Jeremiah and Daniel's prophecy, but I also decided to do a word study. I'm not a Greek scholar. I understand the Hebrew language. I've studied that on a college level in the Hebrew language, both Israeli and in American universities. And so therefore Hebrew is the language that I understand the best. But I decided as well to apply some of that knowledge to see how is that Greek word actually used. And when I did, I noticed that when you look at it in the Bible, right? Maybe I'll pull up eSword for you because I was also looking at it just from that perspective, right? The very word here, them, G 846, is from the participle avau, or autos is I think how they pronounce it, perhaps akin to the base. Notice, perhaps, through the idea of a baffling wind. Boy, that's totally different, right? Backward, it says, the reflexive pronoun self used alone or compound of G1438. G1438 is nowhere near G846. Of the third person, and with the proper personal pronoun of the other person, her, it, one, the other, mine, own, said, self, the same, him, my, thyself, yourself, she, their, them. Them falls way down in the category, by the way. And so, just out of curiosity, I took G846, and I'll put that in there for you now just to get a look at this here. And when you put the Greek word G846, give it a little chance to compile all the information together, right? Because it's going to take a moment. Wait for the program to respond. Here we go. And there's a whole bunch of responses in here. I mean, a lot. You can have his, they, her, privily, he, her, his, him, her, them. Finally, we got a them in Matthew, right? So, and then you can have all kinds of them, sent them, of them, before them, unto him. All right. So if you get the whole point, it really has to do with the construct of the sentence itself, is what it is. So my curiosity, though, was what was Paul saying? Did Paul really mean, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them? Or is Paul saying, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction arises by them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape? That seems to be more evident. We can see that from Gaza itself, because as it says, as a woman in travail with child, they shall not escape. There is no place to escape in Gaza. And yet Netanyahu's out there saying, peace, peace. And there is no peace. Oh, we're going to award the Peace Prize to Donald Trump because he's done everything he can do to do peace in the Middle East. While all along, Trump sits there and sends all the bombs that he can over to Netanyahu to not only blow up children and mothers in Gaza, the expecting mothers and their little babies. And I mean, can you imagine this? I mean, think about it just for a moment. You know, when a mother, when their child falls down and they skin their knee up or they bust their lip and they come in crying and they're bleeding, the mother panics. Imagine your child coming in and the arm is hanging off their body. Or the mother has to pick up her child in the street and it has no legs. Or they're just so mangled from a bomb that just went off. And there's no hospital to go to. Because the same people that just did that to your child also blew the hospital up. Oh, but I'm sure it would be okay because after all, October the 7th, no, the Israelis never waited 8 hours. No, they didn't wait. No, they were right there protecting their people, and they kept Hamas from taking 250 people hostages. Hostage. No, that didn't happen to it. There is no peace. I don't care how much that Netanyahu goes and tells the American people and stands before Congress and the Senate as they all applaud him. They're only applauding him because he has made sure that AIPAC has funded them with so much money that they're all happy about it, right? That's why they applaud him. I mean, the most sickening thing you could think of, right? I mean, really think about this. I want you to think about this just for a moment, and let's go to X for a moment. We gotta look at this one right here, right? Netanyahu, and let's put him before Congress and the Senate. All right, let's take a look at what he did here in the U.S. here when he went before the Congress and Senate in the United States. Well, that's back years ago when he was saying that, they actually, here we go, right here. There we go. There you go. They're applauding this man for what? For destroying Gaza? For destroying Syria? For destroying the West Bank? For destroying Iraq? For killing the Christians and destroying all their churches? Is this why he gets a standing ovation? Or is it because he made sure that AIPAC funded all of them very well for their elections to make sure they were brought into their positions of power? Thank God there's people like Marjorie Taylor Greene uh, and others, very few, that would not stand up there and applaud this man. Because he is truly one that is saying, and I would say the more accurate way to translate that, let's see, I actually made myself a notation, and I really did a lot of research to do this. Um, Let's see. I can't find it at this moment, but I can just read it to you properly so you'd know. For when they say peace, peace and safety, then sudden destruction arises by them. As travail upon a woman with child, and that's more fitting because it does. That Greek word can be translated more accurately by saying arises upon them as travail upon a woman with child. Now, they likened it because it causes that sudden pain out of nowhere, but it's not only that, it's fitting because it's exactly what he's done. He's brought the destruction upon the mothers that are having the children, and they cannot escape. That's why it says they shall not escape. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, that they should shall overtake you as a thief. We are witnessing already the fact that Netanyahu is saying peace and safety, but there's always sudden destruction. So it should not surprise you when he tries to bring it to this land. You are the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. And so, no, our eyes are wide open. We know the ones that say peace and safety and the destruction they're causing in the Middle East will come here as well. That's why people like my wife that are writing so dedicated about the Noahide laws on her Substack. And I would just encourage you, her Substack, substack.com at Yana Satova. There she is right there. Yana Satova Ben-Nun of Israeli News Live. I write weekly about the Noahide laws in Scofield and Zionist Christianity. Her latest article, and I think this one's open free to the public. I was blind, but now I see. It's her true story of her coming out of Zion, or excuse me, coming out of the Watchtower organization. But to see the ones on the Noahide laws, this is her supported publication there. So I encourage you to subscribe, become a paid member to help support the work she's doing. And your support for this ministry, it is vital. I don't say that lightly. I say it because people just don't support truth anymore. I guess the tickling of the ears is a lot more desirable to be supported. But we will stay with this fight no matter what it takes. And we appreciate you and God bless you and thank you for listening. And have a blessed evening.